The conference room buzzed with excitement as Daniel stood on stage, his smile too bright under the fluorescent lights. My heart pounded as he cleared his throat and announced his engagement to Victoria, his ex-girlfriend from college. The room erupted in applause, while I sat frozen in the third row. He glanced my way briefly, his eyes sliding past me like I was furniture. Then he added that Victoria would be joining our marketing department, as senior consultant. My chest tightened until breathing hurt. I thought I knew the man I was to marry. I thought we had a future together. But that day, everything changed. My fiancé's hidden life with his ex came to light, exposing a betrayal so profound it fundamentally altered who I am. This isn't just a tale of heartbreak, it's a journey through the ruins of trust, and the surprising path forward, after everything you thought you knew vanishes. I grabbed my notebook and walked out before the clapping stopped, before anyone could see my hands shaking, or the tears threatening to spill. Daniel followed me into the hallway, his footsteps echoing off the marble floor. He caught my arm gently, his voice dropping to that familiar tone he used when we were alone. "Riley, you're overreacting," he said, as if the past 5 years meant nothing. "We were never official, remember? You knew what this was." His casual dismissal made my stomach turn. Pulled away, mumbled something about needing air, and rushed to the restroom. When I returned to my desk an hour later, his computer screen was still unlocked. An email draft sat open, recommending my transfer to a junior analyst position. My blood went cold. I took a photo of that email with trembling fingers, then spent the next week moving like a ghost through the office. Every file I'd created, every project timeline, every presentation I'd built, I copied everything to an external drive. Daniel had taken credit for my work countless times, always with a charming smile, and a promise to make it up to me later. Now I understood what he was doing. He was erasing me before I could become a problem. The evidence folder on my laptop grew heavier, each night as I worked alone in my apartment, documenting 5 years of stolen achievements. Human Resources called me in on Thursday afternoon. 3 people sat across the table, 2 I didn't recognize, and Susan from Employee Relations. They asked about my emotional state, and whether I felt comfortable continuing in my current role. Someone had filed concerns about my behavior. The meeting lasted 20 minutes of carefully worded questions that all pointed back to Daniel's narrative. I was unstable, possibly obsessed, definitely unprofessional. They were building a case to remove me quietly. When the 2 strangers left, Susan slipped a manila folder across the table. "You're not the first," she whispered, her eyes urgent. "Read these tonight." The folder contained complaints from 4 women who'd worked under Daniel over the past decade. Each story followed the same pattern: close working relationship, promises of advancement, sudden reassignment, or termination after he moved on. One woman had been forced to resign after he claimed she'd made inappropriate advances. Another lost a promotion when he blamed project failures on her mistakes. Reading their words felt like staring into my own future. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "We need to talk about the man who's destroying your career. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Riverside Cafe. Come alone." The cafe sat on a quiet corner downtown, away from our office district. I arrived early, scanning for threats or traps, but found only an older gentleman, in an expensive suit sitting by the window. He stood when I approached, extending his hand with practiced confidence. "Riley Chen, I'm Theodore Foster, CEO of Blackstone Industries. I've been following your work for 3 years." His directness startled me. He gestured to the seat across from him, where a leather portfolio waited. Your boss sabotaged the Meridian deal last year. The one worth $12 million that you saved at the last minute. I have proof he tried to tank it deliberately. Theodore slid documents across the table. Emails, meeting notes, financial records. Each page revealed Daniel's interference in projects I'd rescued from disaster. The Meridian deal, the Westfield campaign, the Morrison contract. I'd worked nights and weekends fixing problems he'd created, while he took credit for the solutions. Why are you showing me this? Yes, my voice barely steady. Theodore leaned back, his gray eyes assessing me carefully. Because talent like yours shouldn't be wasted under mediocre leadership. I'm offering you a position as Senior Director of Strategy at Blackstone. Double your current salary, full autonomy, and the resources to build something real. Interested? I accepted his offer that afternoon, signing papers in his lawyer's office, while my hands still shook from adrenaline. Theodore's legal team briefed me on proper resignation protocol. Take only what belonged to me, document everything, stay professional until the end. Walking back into our office felt surreal, like moving through a dream, where everyone spoke a language I no longer understood. Daniel called me into his office that evening, with news that made my stomach drop. Victoria needs to learn our systems quickly, he said, not meeting my eyes. I'm assigning you to train her personally. Consider it a growth opportunity. Victoria arrived Monday morning, wearing a nervous smile and designer clothes that whispered old money. She was prettier in person, with careful manners and cautious eyes that studied me. Throughout our first training session, we worked through database procedures and client protocols in uncomfortable silence until she suddenly asked, "Are you okay with this? With us working together?" Her question caught me off guard. I started to give a polite non-answer, but something in her expression stopped me. She looked genuinely troubled, like someone carrying a secret that weighed too much. "What did Daniel tell you about me?" I asked instead. Her face confirmed my suspicions before she spoke. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Click the notification bell. Thanks so much for watching. Victoria glanced toward Daniel's office, then pulled her chair closer to mine. He said you were clingy, that you'd mistaken his mentorship for something romantic, and made things awkward when he tried to set boundaries. She paused, watching my reaction. But I've been watching you work this week, Riley. You don't act like someone who got rejected. You act like someone who got betrayed. I didn't confirm or deny anything, but she continued anyway. I need to show you something. My family hired a private investigator before agreeing to this marriage. She pulled out her phone and opened a folder of financial documents. Daniel's personal accounts showed massive debt, credit cards, personal loans, gambling losses totaling over $300,000. The numbers explained everything. Victoria's family owned a commercial real estate empire, worth hundreds of millions. This wasn't romance, it was a financial rescue disguised as love. Why are you showing me this? Yes. She locked her phone screen and met my eyes directly. Because I'm not stupid, and neither are you. He's using both of us, just in different ways. I'm walking away eventually. But I need confirmation of something first. I need to know if he's capable of real honesty, or if everything about him is calculated. He paused. I think you already know the answer, but I need to see it myself before I burn everything down. That Wednesday, Daniel humiliated me during the department meeting. I was presenting the quarterly analytics when he interrupted, talking over me to explain concepts I'd developed. He corrected points I hadn't made, then presented my projections as suggestions he'd been considering. Nobody challenged him. Victoria watched from the back row, her expression unreadable. After the meeting, my phone rang, Theodore calling personally. The acquisition papers cleared, he said. Blackstone is taking majority control of your division next month. I need someone to lead the integration assessment, someone who knows where the bodies are buried. I'm recommending you for the position. It means evaluating everyone currently in leadership, including your boss. The promotion came through Friday afternoon, official before Daniel even heard the acquisition news. My new title: Integration Director, reporting directly to Theodore. When the announcement reached our floor Monday morning, Daniel's face went pale. He called an emergency team meeting, where he tried spinning the acquisition as an opportunity, but his voice cracked twice. I said nothing, taking notes while colleagues whispered nervously. That evening, he messaged me privately. We should talk about the transition. I'll need your support navigating this new structure. His desperation smelled like expensive cologne mixed with fear. I replied with a professional acknowledgement, and continued organizing my evidence files. Reviewing Daniel's performance metrics felt like excavating a crime scene. Deadlines he'd claimed to meet were actually missed by weeks, and covered up through creative reporting. Budgets he'd supposedly managed were wildly inflated, with expenses mysteriously disappearing into personal accounts. Client satisfaction scores he'd presented as proof of success were fabricated. The real numbers showed declining relationships across our entire portfolio. I worked late every night that week, cross-referencing data until my eyes burned. Daniel noticed something had shifted. His messages became frequent, then frantic. He asked about my weekend plans, suggested coffee meetings, offered compliments that felt rehearsed. He sensed the trap closing, but couldn't see its shape yet. Thursday night, I stayed late finishing the assessment report. The office was empty except for the cleaning crew when Daniel appeared in my doorway. His tie was loosened, and he carried that vulnerable expression he used when he wanted something. I miss us, he said softly, stepping inside and closing the door. I miss how we worked together, how we understood each other. This thing with Victoria, it's complicated, but it doesn't change what we built. He moved closer, his voice dropping to that intimate register. When the acquisition finalizes, I'll need someone I trust beside me. Help me secure the promotion, Riley. We can fix everything. Before I could respond, the door opened. Victoria stood there, frozen. Her expression transformed from shock to something colder and more calculating. She apologized quickly and left, but Daniel's face had gone white. The next morning, Victoria pulled me into an empty conference room. I found something else, she said, spreading new documents across the table. These showed subtle budget redirections from company accounts. Small amounts moved monthly through complicated transfers. Each transaction traced back to vendors that didn't exist, shell companies with addresses that led nowhere. The money was paying Daniel's gambling debts, hidden inside legitimate business expenses. I've been documenting everything since I arrived, Victoria said quietly. But I need your help deciding when and how to present this. If we move too soon, he'll find a way out. We planned carefully over the next week, coordinating with Theodore's legal team and building an airtight case. Victoria proved surprisingly strategic, understanding corporate politics better than I'd expected. My father taught me to gather overwhelming evidence before making accusations, she explained. Men like Daniel are experts at charm and deflection. You need facts so clear that no amount of talking can obscure them. Meanwhile, Daniel's paranoia grew obvious. He locked his office constantly, jumped when people approached unexpectedly, and questioned colleagues about their conversations with me. His assistant quit suddenly. 2 junior staff requested transfers. The department felt like a building, with cracks spreading through its foundation. everyone sensing the collapse but unable to prevent it. Daniel cornered me in the parking garage on Tuesday evening, his usual polish stripped away by fear. "Are you still on my side, Riley?" he asked, standing too close, his eyes searching my face for answers. "People are saying things, implying that you're part of the review team. Tell me that's not true. Tell me you wouldn't do this after everything we shared." His desperation was palpable. 5 years of manipulation, distilled into one moment of genuine terror. I kept my voice even and professional. "I'm focused on my work, Daniel. The integration assessment requires evaluating all department operations objectively. Nothing personal." I watched understanding dawn slowly. He finally realized I wasn't the person he'd controlled anymore. The formal review began the following Monday, in the executive conference room. 20 people attended, board members, legal counsel, Theodore's acquisition team and department heads. I presented the performance analysis, with clinical precision, letting the numbers speak for themselves. Daniel's inflated metrics appeared first, then the missed deadlines covered by falsified reports, followed by budget discrepancies that couldn't be explained through normal accounting. The room grew quieter with each slide. Daniel sat rigid in his chair, sweat forming along his hairline despite the air conditioning. When I finished, the CFO asked him to explain the vendor payments flagged as suspicious. His answer came out tangled and defensive, raising more questions than it answered. Board members began asking pointed follow-up questions Daniel couldn't deflect. Why had 3 major clients requested new account managers last quarter? Where were the original budget approval documents for the Morrison campaign? Could he provide meeting notes from the weekly strategy sessions he'd claimed to lead? Each question exposed another inconsistency. His voice grew higher, his gestures more frantic. Finally, Theodore asked me to clarify specific timeline discrepancies in Daniel's reports. I did, calmly pulling up emails and documents that contradicted every major claim he'd made. The evidence was devastating, undeniable proof of systematic mismanagement, credit theft, and financial irregularities. Daniel's face had gone gray. Someone suggested a 15-minute recess. During the break, Daniel was called into a private side room with the CEO and legal counsel. Through the glass wall, I watched him gesturing desperately, trying to salvage something from the wreckage. 20 minutes later, they emerged with Daniel looking destroyed. The CEO announced that Daniel was being placed on immediate administrative leave, pending a full investigation. Security would escort him from the building today. As he gathered his things, he caught my eye across the conference room and mouthed the words, "Help me," as if 5 years of stolen credit and deliberate sabotage could be erased with one plea. I looked away. Victoria stepped forward then, her voice clear and steady. She had additional documentation to submit for the investigation. Victoria's evidence revealed Daniel's most serious misconduct, altered contract terms on the Westfield proposal that could have exposed the company to massive legal liability. She'd found the original documents and his modified versions, showing deliberate changes made without authorization or disclosure. The executives recognized immediately how close they'd come to a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Theodore's expression hardened. "This goes beyond poor performance," he said. "This is potential fraud." Daniel tried to speak, but the CEO silenced him. The board voted unanimously to terminate his employment immediately and cooperate with any criminal investigation. As security escorted him out, Daniel looked at me one final time, his face showing disbelief that I'd actually gone through with it. The following week, Theodore called me to his office. "The board was impressed with your handling of the assessment," he said. "They want to restructure the entire department, under new leadership. We're offering you the Director of Strategic Operations position. Your own team, full budget authority, direct board access. The promotion was everything I'd worked toward for 5 years, finally arriving without Daniel's shadow. That afternoon, Victoria announced publicly that she was ending the engagement with Daniel, citing irreconcilable differences discovered during the integration process. She walked out of the building without a backward glance, designer heels clicking against marble floors. I respected her timing and her discretion. We'd become unlikely allies in dismantling a carefully constructed lie. My new office had windows overlooking the city, space for a team of 6, and a door that locked from the inside. I spent the first week hiring carefully, looking for people whose talent had been overlooked or suppressed under the old structure. Susan from HR helped identify candidates who'd been pushed aside. Within a month, we'd built something different, a department based on actual merit, rather than political games. Projects moved faster. Clients responded positively. Numbers improved across every metric. Theodore mentioned me specifically in board meetings, as an example of what the acquisition was meant to achieve. Meanwhile, Daniel's name disappeared from company directories, his work email deactivated, his parking space reassigned. It was as if he'd never existed. 3 months after his termination, my phone buzzed late one evening. Daniel's name appeared on the screen above a simple message. "Can we talk? I know I messed up. I need your help." I stared at those words in my dark office, surrounded by evidence of everything I'd built without him. His desperate plea arrived too late, seeking rescue from consequences he'd earned through years of calculated cruelty. I thought about responding, about explaining how deeply he'd underestimated me, about describing the satisfaction of watching karma work methodically through corporate channels. Instead, I deleted the message, powered down my laptop, and turned off the lights. Some conversations didn't deserve to happen. Some people didn't deserve closure. I walked out into the cool evening air, leaving Daniel exactly where he belonged, as a cautionary tale in someone else's past. What would you do if your perfect life shattered overnight, revealing a betrayal so deep it rewrites your entire past? My fiancé had a secret, a life he kept hidden, for 5 years of our relationship, and when it finally exploded, took everything with it. This isn't just a story about a cheating. It's about the shocking truth that lay beneath, and the utterly unforeseen consequences that followed. Sometimes, being alone is the first step to finding where you really belong. Sometimes the only way to heal is to walk away. Stop sacrificing yourself for people who wouldn't do the same. Boundaries are the strongest form of self-love. I left the past behind, and heading toward a future filled with possibility, respect, and real love. Dear viewers, what lessons did you take from this story? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Your views matter. If you have been touched by this story, please give it a thumbs up, and share it with others who needs to learn from it. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Click the notification bell to be updated with another story that would keep you on the edge of your seat. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, you're worth the love that respects you, values you, and never makes you feel like you need their permission to exist. Stay blessed, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next story.